Hey, Bill, how's it going?
Okay, Phil, how you doing?
Pretty good, thanks. I just am curious, when the game ends up going the way that it did last night, where you're running the football so frequently, do you just go to the plays that you had in the plan at a really high rate, higher than you expected, or do you add things to the plan? Do you just try to change looks up with formations or what have you, just to try to keep some diversity, I guess, to your offense? I'm just curious how that plays out when the plan has to go the direction it did last night.
Yeah, I think a little bit of all those. There's an element of all that's in place. Josh did a good job of, as he usually does, making some in-game adjustments, and some of the plays that we had, we just need to get straightened out or adjust a little bit, and then we put in a couple things that we have, but we weren't anticipating being big in the game, and so able to use that too. We missed a couple things there and had a couple tackles for loss. And again, that's a good defensive team, so that's going to happen. So hopefully we can. We could execute things a little bit better, but yeah, overall, I'd say it's a combination of that. Some in-game adjustments, some finding things that are working that they're having trouble with, and maybe putting in something that you didn't anticipate using in the game because of how they were aligned into a certain look.
And Bill, I just wanted to ask you too. I know you mentioned in the few days leading up to the game that the Bills really, they used. They're pretty consistent in terms of the personnel that they use defensively. Is that what you guys saw last night as well, or did they make any significant changes as far as that goes?
Well, they played some base defense. They played some 4-3 defense to our bigger groups at times. And then they played their nickel against everything else, which is what they usually do. So I think they can play their nickel against everything. They're comfortable in that. And if they want to get to a third linebacker instead of Johnson, their nickel back, then that's their next move, and they did that some against us.
Got it. Thank you.
Welcome.
Next question from Chris Ryan, followed by Zach Cox.
Morning, Bill. How are you?
Hi, Chris.
Wanted to ask you about the impact of Ramondre Stevenson as well as Damian Harris last night, in that obviously the Bills knew you guys were going to run the football, and those guys were still able to have significant impacts for you. What does it say about them as rushers that they were able to do that?
Well, I think it goes to the whole team. Our offensive line did a good job, and we used Mike as a sixth lineman quite a bit. The tight ends, obviously the receivers were heavily involved in the running game, blocking force or crack blocking on some of the perimeter plays, things like that. But all the backs ran well. Mondre and Damian and Brandon, gave us a couple big runs there as well, especially the 2-point play. But he had another third down conversion on a trap play. So, those guys were productive. They ran hard. They ran with good pad level. Got some extra yards after contact. And, and that's important too. That's what a back needs to do is we need to block the play for however many yards we block it for. And then hopefully the player with the ball can add on to that. And I thought they did a good job of that. They made some tough yards, and Buffalo is a good ball stripping team. They were pulling the ball a lot, as they usually do, and our runners I thought they did a really good job of taking care of the ball and gaining extra yards, but with good ball security.
And what's the personal feeling when the team is able to execute in all three phases of the game in the way that they did last night? That people are referring to it as a masterpiece in coaching, etc. What's the personal feeling when your team executes like that?
Well, we work hard all week to try to go out there and perform well, and it's obviously satisfying to win and beat a good team like Buffalo in Buffalo. So, but that's over with, and it's time to turn the page and move on to Indianapolis. So, that's what we'll do. But I thought the team played well, and not perfect, and again against a good team. Again, Buffalo certainly gives you some problems in all three phases of the game. They've got a great core of special team players, and they're one of the top teams defensively and one of the top teams offensively in almost every category. So, it's good to see our team go out there and perform well and get a win on the road in the division.
Thanks, Bill.
You're welcome.
Next question, Zach Cox, followed by Michael Hurley.
Morning, Bill.
Hi, Zach.
With Kyle Duggar unavailable last night, how do you feel like Miles and the defense as a whole were able to fill that void? It seemed like Miles was out there on close to every snap last night.
Yeah, well, Miles doesn't really. He and Kyle don't really have the same roles, but Miles did a good job for us, as he always does. He's a smart, dependable player that is very, very instinctive and has made a lot of big plays for us in the games that he's played in, which has been a decent number here in the last 2 years. So, I think that overall, Devin and Adrian certainly stepped up for us and gave us a lot of critical plays, pass breakups, pressures, tackles. In kind of the role where Kyle would be. Sometimes we have all three guys on the field at the same time, but a lot of times it's just two of them, and there's just a rotation of how those go. But Miles was in there a lot on Beasley, and that was a big matchup for us. There's a decent amount of zone as well, so it wasn't a straight one-on-one matchup. But again, all those players did a good job, and I'd say Devin and Adrian really just carried the load out there. There was no third person to rotate like we had with Kyle. We're happy to get Kyle back, hopefully next week for Indianapolis, and certainly always use him.
Great, thank you.
You're welcome.
The next question, Michael Hurley, followed by Karen Griggy.
Hi, morning, Bill.
Hey, good morning. Hey, Mike.
I had a question actually about Miles Bryant's instinctiveness there, because on the last play, the pass breakup, and also earlier he helped break up that wide receiver screen, I think, in the first quarter. With a player that doesn't have that much experience, game experience, is that instinctiveness something you can obviously see in the practice field, and when it comes up in a game, you don't know it until you know it?
I think that's a good way to put it. His instinctiveness shows up in practice a lot, and it's shown up in games a lot too. But it's the kind of thing that until you see it repetitively in games, it's sometimes it can be practice and it's a little bit different in the game. But Miles plays just as instinctively and fast in games as he does in practice. He's an excellent communicator. He anticipates well. And works well with his teammates so that he puts himself and his teammates, in the best position we can be in on certain formations and looks and coverages and those things. So, he does a good job of understanding, what we're trying to do and where threats are. And a lot of times when he's not threatened, he's able to help out somewhere else. And that's a very, it's one of those traits that you teach, but some guys have a better knack and feel for it, than others, and he has a real good feel for it, especially, as you said, for a relatively young and inexperienced player. Although, after 2 years here, he's I think everybody has a lot of confidence in him always doing the right thing in every situation.
Well, thanks.
Welcome.
I don't see any other hands raised, so Karen Griggy, you'll have the last question.
Morning, Bill.
Hi, Karen.
Would you say that the play of the defense in terms of, keeping Buffalo at bay allowed you to continue running the ball for most of the game?
Yeah, the score definitely helped. No question about it. Yeah. But again, it would have depended if the situation had been different. We'd have to look at what that was. But the way the game played out, playing from ahead, and with the conditions being what they were, the game kind of unfolding the way it did, I thought we played a pretty good complementary game, and all three units made plays that significantly impacted the game.
One quick follow, kind of. I know you don't schedule the bye weeks, but, given where it is right now, is this a good time for your team to kind of get a little mental and physical break from the season?
Yeah, whenever the bye week comes, it comes. So I'd say whatever time we have, whatever that is, at any point is beneficial if we use it productively. If we don't, then it's not. So hopefully whatever time we have, whether it's a bye, not a bye, a short week, a long week, whatever it is, that we use the time productively and help ourselves and help our team improve.
Great. Thank you, Bill.
You're welcome, Karen.
Thank you, Coach. Thanks, everyone. Just a reminder, we have in-person availability. It'll be probably a regular Wednesday-like schedule, but we'll get that out later today once we have the confirmed times.
Great. Thank you.